I think it's important that we define the enemy before we go to battle, right?
Yeah.
And so when you say parasite, what are we actually talking about? Is it worms? Is it fungi? Is it bacteria? Is it mold? Or is it all of the above? Let's start with defining a parasite for people.
So the definition of a parasite is anything that feeds off a host. And the Latin term is an unwanted dinner guest. So it's so gross. So basically it's things like Giardia, D. fragilis, crypto. Those are microscopic protozoas. You can't see them. Mostly they're found in water. I had Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which kills puppies. And a lot of people will hear about parvo, right? But we can get it from sitting water. We can get it in our water. We put chlorine in our water, but it actually thrives in chlorine. So it's not like that kills it. And I think a lot of misconceptions are that our water is not contaminated and that they do everything they can to clean it. And so that's not the truth. And then you have things like nematodes, which are physical worms like tapeworm, roundworm, pinworm, whipworm, hookworm. And those particular things are also in our water, but our country does not test for nematodes. And I had nematodes in my water. I had larvae roundworm in my water, which was a well, but it was a community well. And so thousands of people in Hoodsport are contaminated by that well, and they just don't believe that this is a thing, It's crazy. So those are the things that I talk mostly about. But then you have scabies and lice and all of those things. Candida feeds off of you, so that's why it's considered a parasite. Mold and fungus are not considered parasites. They're different, but they're within the environmental toxin world of how, 70 to 75% of our buildings in the United States have mold in them. Black toxic mold, not just a little mold. And black toxic mold is the death mold. So if 75% of our buildings have that, you go in, you take a deep breath, and you have a parasite. The moment that you breathe and the spores go down in your body and start to absorb in your blood, your tissue, and your muscle, all of a sudden they're going to capture that and they're going to be like, hey, friend, how have you been? All right, let's party in this beautiful mansion that we're in, right? So if you think about any time you're exposed to these things and you're not constantly cleansing out your body, they're living in it. They're hanging out. And this isn't a fear thing. This is just, you really need to know you have to be proactive. And that goes for anything that you do, any food you eat, anywhere you go. I eat questionably. I'm really conscientious about cleansing because I know that if I go into a moldy building, I'm susceptible to having symptoms because of mold exposure, right?
Help walk us through it. Like, how do parasites actually enter our bodies? Is it food, water, animals, environment? I've seen some of your videos where you've talked about salmon. You briefly mentioned about undercooked food. Some people are always like, yeah, I love to ground, but it matters. Like the cleanliness of the ground that you're on, it shouldn't be, covered in where animals defecate and pee and all those things, because that can obviously enter the system as well. Let's create awareness around, how these parasites get into our system. And also it gives you like the EBGBs. You're like, should I just not touch anything? Should I not drink water? Like, I feel like our listeners are just going to be like, okay, we've identified everyone has parasites. Let's understand how they get in there now. And let's figure out how to get rid of them so that way they can live their lives.
It really is. I think at the beginning, when people first go down the wormhole, they start to kind of get, oh my God, I can't do anything. But you really can once you know, and there's actually a solution. It really is something that is an easy fix. And I made it as simple as possible, by the way. Like when this all started, and I'm going to answer your question because I love your question. When I made the kit, it was because my husband needed to cleanse, and he's a man. We were building a log home. It's 3 tinctures. You take 3 times a day for 30 days and you bind at night and you repeat every 3 to 4 times a year. I mean, I made it as simple as possible. I know how society is, right? I worked with society in the medicine world.
If there's not convenience and compliance, people aren't going to do it. And the compliance is
Right.
the science.
Yep. And anything you do over 21 days makes or breaks a habit. And so that's why I made it 30, because I wanted you to get past at 21 days, your brain has done a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's an easier way for you to continue to want to do it. And you start to feel better. Like, man, why be sick when there's solutions out there to not be sick anymore that are simple and $100? Like, I made it cheap because of the fact, and we make it ourselves. Just so you guys know, we have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility that we built ourselves. And we have 40 employees that we do all of this ourselves. There is not a lab. The herbs are organic. We soak them. This is the way our ancestors did it. We process the tinctures ourselves. We do everything ourselves. And we did that to keep control, to be able to make sure that our recipe never changes, that nothing gets in it that isn't supposed to be in it, and that we have full control and full accountability. I mean, that's what's really important about the day and age we're in now, is that I'm accountable for everything Rogers Hood does because I am Rogers Hood. And so I'm not going to have something made in a lab and then be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's going to heal your body. So I want to be as accountable and transparent as possible. So I'm constantly making sure that any adjustments that need to be made, and that we get third party tested. And if something comes back, which it never has, that it's within compliance and we're on the FDA registry. And, I want full control over this after I went viral. I don't want to ever question anything I'm putting in my body, let alone what I'm talking about as well. So just for the listeners, that's why I'm so strong about having a company. And let me tell you, it is a lot. I mean, I went from dying in the woods to running a huge manufacturing. We have over 1 million followers, because this is such an important topic and I have a solution. So I didn't want to talk about something that I didn't have a solution, or I was relying on someone else's solution. And that's what kind of happened is that first kit, the first tincture I took, they couldn't tell me why there was natural ingredients and what they were. And they also wouldn't tell me why they used caramel coloring. And I'm like, but if you soak the herbs, it's its own color and it's in a amber bottle. So I don't know why you feel like you should have to use synthetic driven things. And so at that moment I had a light bulb. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I got to do this myself.
real quickly on that note.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines in the world is, if you can't explain it to a third grader, you probably don't really understand it. And when you look at supplements and a lot of medical processes, you ask questions and you get terrible answers. Oh, it's just a proprietary blend. Okay, that's a nice big word, but what's in the proprietary blend? What does that mean? Why are there artificial colors or natural colors or artificial sweeteners or things that are masked with elevated medical jargon and language to create confusion, to get people to not actively ask or participate? Or sometimes I'll ask researchers different questions and they get into the meat and potatoes of the candida and microscopic this and all the fancy words. And then they're like, yeah, it's a whole process. And I'm like, it's designed to be confusing so you can keep monetizing every single angle. And usually the people that are giving me those types of answers, they're manipulated themselves because they're incentivized to actively participate in that research or in that field because they're getting funding, which means somebody else is in control. That's what's very interesting to me about this is, in running a business and whatnot, like people have come and wanted to invest in ALLSMITH or these different things. And I'm sure you've had it too. But the moment you take that money, you sign over some of the control.
Yep.
And I think it's very interesting. I want to hear first about how parasites enter our bodies, but I do want to revisit the business ideology with you and how you and your husband were able to get this off the ground, because it's a big, hairy, audacious goal that requires a lot of money and a lot of passion. And it's probably a lot easier if you take that early money to try to do what you want, but then somewhere along the way, there's some smoke and mirrors that ends up not being exactly in accordance to what you started it for.
Yep, that's true. And we were really fortunate that we didn't have any money. Just we started this business from the few $1,000s that I had for my countertops in my log home. So not only were we still building, living in a moldy travel trailer, starting this business, because it was 2021, December of 21. I went viral in July, and by December I started a business. And a gal that I met on TikTok who also is chronically ill, she had like this little 175 square foot, we call it a shop, but it was really a one-car garage in the back of her house and in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And that's why our manufacturing facility is in Jonesboro and I'm in Seattle, is because we started it in her backyard with countertop money. I was willing to give up my countertops for the business, because if it failed, at least I'd have like a lifetime supply of parasite cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we went in and did. We were like, all right, well, we sold 500 kits the first hour. So that was very far from where we were. We've sold 250,000 kits in the last 4 years. We've not even a full 4 years. We're 4 years on December 19th of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have run. When I say I've been doing this every day, we literally, and then we went to like a 2,400 square foot manufacturing facility. And then we added 1,000 square feet onto that. And then last June, we opened up our 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility. And then 3 months ago, we had to build 2,500 square feet of storage. So we bought like 3.5 acres of land and we've just built it. When I say we built it ourselves, we literally built it ourselves. It's all custom. I have custom machinery that's being made. I have custom machinery from China that has been shipped and landed yesterday. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I've developed a few other people's companies when I ran colleges, and I actually started their campuses from ground up. So I know I'm standing in my light. I know I'm standing where I'm supposed to be, because all of the things I did before, it's been an easy implementation for me to do this on my own company and have pride in what I'm doing, because I know what we're doing is the right way. And everyone around us knows it's the right way. And I just want that transparency for any company that I come in contact with. I feel like we need to have more of that from the wellness community as well. So that's, I feel like the business side of things, it's amazing. There's 4 of us that do this with 40 team members. And so we're definitely not doing this alone anymore, but we were for a long time at the beginning. And I would like wake up and I would be in the most pain and I would get going because I needed to show up every day for my community. That's what this has always been about. Being chronically ill is lonely. Having no answers is lonely. And I asked the universe when I was going through this to please provide me with a community that will not just understand, but that I can actually give my knowledge to so that they have a better life as well.
So powerful.
But going back
and
to
inspiring.
what?
Like, it's so powerful and inspiring. I'm pumped for you.
Thanks. It's been fun. I mean, it's much better than dying in the woods. And that's what we joke around all the time. And I mean, I've grieved over the fact that like my cells thought they were dying and that they really were. I mean, I was very ill. I was very, very ill. I'm going to show you guys how sick I really was, because I take pride in what I've done for my body, specifically because it is really hard to take this all on and not have like professionals that you think are professionals helping you. But that was me.
Wow. Bring it a little closer so people can really see it on YouTube. Wow, you can see the huge difference in like the pigment of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, very cool.
I was a snowboarder. I was a roller derby girl. So when I say like I worked 80 hours a week, I ran college, like I went to school at night. When I was a high performer and when I started to decline, my husband knew something was really wrong with me. When I was like, I just can't anymore, because I've run like the way I run now my whole life. And then there were moments that the mold started taking me out and the worms started taking me out. One of the ways that you can get parasites is through your pets. And I had 3 dogs, and one of my dogs had worms and I had the same worms as my dog. And now I know that I caught a lot of issues from having dogs while living in a moldy house that we were remodeling. So it really is easy to go from the top performance. You get yourself into a bad environment, not on purpose. I mean, I'm thinking I'm doing all the right things. We flipped homes and, we had pets and dewormed my dogs a few times, but I just never dewormed myself. And that's what my video was when I went viral. I'm like, I've been in Western medicine for 18 years and I've never dewormed myself until now. And just the whole thought process that it's this simple and that you can go in and do this, because I was eating sushi and I was eating salmon and I did eat pork and I had pets and I would go out and ground in areas that weren't clean. I went on a podcast and I was talking about how you have to ground, and I go, don't come, you grounders, don't come at me, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do. And the guy I was podcasting with looked at me and he goes, oh my God, I like ground while I'm cleaning up my dog's poop. And I'm like, so you're walking in like the poop. And then he found out his dog had parasites. And I'm like, well, you have the same ones, friend. Like, you just need to keep cleansing, and you deworm your dog and you deworm yourself and you deworm your cat and you deworm yourself and, your whole family. You all share the same microbiome, including your dog. Your dog is licking you. Your dog is laying with you. Your dog is cuddling with you after it just licked its butt and went outside and ate other dogs' poop and roamed around on dirt, which worms are in dirt. I mean, there's hookworm. And if you Google things about hookworm, you'll find that people in the South have a higher anemia iron issue. And it's because hookworm is more prevalent down there. And back in the day, they were walking barefoot, collecting things in gardens, and they got hookworm, and it slowed their speech down. It slowed their processes down from their mind to their mouth connection. And it's a thing, Whipworm will also cause you to have a lot of anemia issues because they absorb the iron. So there's a lot of reasoning behind some of our medical conditions by not cleansing and not getting those things out. A lot of people have anemia, and a lot of people are just getting the parasites absorbing that iron, and they're just continuing to feed it.